One of my hens almost died on a Tuesday morning, and I had no idea anything was even wrong until it was almost too late. She was standing in the corner of the coop, puffed up like a ball, eyes half closed. I thought she was just tired. I thought maybe she'd had a rough night. I gave her some water, went inside, made coffee, and by the time I came back 2 hours later, she could barely stand. That was my third month of keeping chickens, and I promise you, if you are in your first year right now, what I'm about to tell you could save your flock. Because here's the thing, nobody warns you about when you start keeping backyard chickens. The diseases don't announce themselves. They creep in quietly. And by the time most new chicken keepers realize something is wrong, it's already spread to half the flock. Today I'm walking you through the 5 most common diseases you will almost certainly encounter in your first year. Not someday, not maybe, almost certainly. And more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to catch them fast before they turn into a disaster. But before we get to number 1, I need to tell you about the one symptom that every single one of these diseases shares. And it's the one thing most beginners completely ignore. I'll get to that in just a moment. Let's start with number 1. And this one surprises almost every new keeper. Marek's disease. You get your chicks from a hatchery, everything looks perfect. They're fluffy and loud and wonderful. And then around week 6 to 20, one of them starts to walk funny. A leg starts dragging, one wing drops lower than the other. You think maybe she hurt herself. You think maybe it's a vitamin deficiency. You try everything. It's not a vitamin deficiency. Marek's is a herpes virus and it attacks the nervous system. The classic sign is what's called the splits. One leg stretched forward, one stretched back, because the bird has lost control of its own muscles. There's no cure, but here's what changes everything. It is almost entirely preventable with a vaccine that costs almost nothing if you ask your hatchery to do it at hatching. If you haven't gotten your birds yet, ask for the Marek's vaccine. Non-negotiable. If your birds are already showing signs, isolate immediately. The virus spreads through feather dust and dander. Your other birds are breathing it right now if you don't act. And here's the part that keeps most beginners up at night. Vaccinated birds can still carry the virus. They just won't get sick. So if you ever introduce unvaccinated birds to a flock with vaccinated ones, the unvaccinated birds are at serious risk. Write that down. It matters. Now, remember that one symptom I mentioned? The one every disease on this list shares? A chicken that stands apart from the flock. Puffed feathers, low energy, not eating. Chickens are prey animals. They are hardwired to hide weakness. By the time a chicken looks sick, she's been sick for a while. That's the rule you need to tattoo on your brain in year 1. If she looks sick, she's been sick. You're already behind. Move fast. Number 2, and this one spreads like wildfire in backyard flocks. Infectious bronchitis. You'll hear it before you see it. A rattling, crackling sound when your birds breathe. Sometimes a wet sneeze. Sometimes a chicken that stretches her neck and gasps like she's trying to clear something from her throat. Egg production drops suddenly, and the eggs that do come out have wrinkled, misshapen shells or watery whites. Infectious bronchitis is a coronavirus, a different family from what you're thinking, but the behavior is similar. It mutates constantly. It spreads through the air, through contaminated equipment, through your boots, through wild birds landing near your coop. The recovery rate is actually decent if you catch it early. Supportive care, warmth, electrolytes in the water, good ventilation gives your birds a fighting chance. But the damage it does to the reproductive tract in young hens, that can be permanent. Some hens never lay normally again after a bad IB infection in their first season. What you're watching for, any respiratory sound that wasn't there yesterday. Chickens should breathe silently. If you can hear them breathe, something is wrong. I want to stop here for a second because I know what's happening right now. You're either nodding along thinking, yes, I've seen this, or you're starting to feel a little overwhelmed, maybe even a little scared. Good. Stay with me. Because the next one is the one that destroys more backyard flocks than almost anything else, and almost nobody sees it coming. Number 3, Coccidiosis. This one kills chicks. Fast. Cocci, short for coccidiosis, is a parasitic infection of the intestinal tract caused by protozoa called Eimria. They live in the soil. They are almost certainly in your soil right now. Most adult birds develop immunity over time. Chicks and young birds have no immunity at all. First sign, bloody or very watery droppings, sometimes dark brown, almost chocolate-colored. The chick stops eating. She huddles in the corner, puffed up, eyes closing, the universal sick chicken posture, and then she can deteriorate within 24 to 48 hours. The reason Cocci is so dangerous isn't just the disease itself, it's the speed. New keepers see the bloody droppings and think, that looks bad, I'll call the vet in the morning. By morning, that chick is gone, and the ones next to her are starting to show the same signs. Treatment exists. Amprolium, sold under the brand name Corid in the US, is available at most farm supply stores without a prescription. You add it to the drinking water, but you have to start it the moment you see symptoms, not after you've thought about it for a day. Here's your protocol. If you see bloody or dark liquid droppings in birds under 16 weeks old, start Corid immediately. Don't wait for confirmation. The cost of treating unnecessarily is a few dollars. The cost of waiting is your birds. We're halfway through, and I haven't even gotten to the 2 diseases that most experienced keepers consider the most frustrating ones to deal with long-term. Because these next 2 don't just make your birds sick, they change how you manage your flock forever. Number 4, Mycoplasma Gallisepticum, also called MG, or chronic respiratory disease. If infectious bronchitis is a fire, MG is a slow leak. It doesn't explode through your flock. It seeps. One bird has a bubbly eye discharge. Another has a swollen face. A third is sneezing with a thick, foam-like mucus in the corner of her eye. It looks like a cold. It acts like a cold. It lingers like a cold. Except it never fully goes away. MG is a mycoplasma. Not quite a bacterium, not quite a virus. And once it's in your flock, it stays. Antibiotics like Talosin can suppress symptoms and reduce suffering, but they don't eliminate the pathogen. Birds become carriers. They look healthy. They feel fine. And then a stressor hits. Cold weather, a move, introducing new birds, a change in feed, and the symptoms flare back up. The part that breaks new keepers' hearts, MG is transmitted vertically. That means infected hens pass it to their eggs. If you hatch eggs from an MG-positive hen, those chicks are born already carrying it. This is why biosecurity isn't paranoia. It's just math. Quarantine every new bird for 30 days before introducing them to your flock. Every single one. No exceptions. Not even the one you got from a friend you trust. Not even the one that looks perfectly healthy. 30 days. If you do nothing else from this video, do that. And now, number 5, the one that experienced keepers dread the most. Fowl pox. Here's what makes fowl pox so insidious. It comes in 2 forms, and one of them is manageable. The other one can suffocate your birds. The dry form you'll recognize as small, dark, wart-like scabs on the unfeathered parts of the bird. The comb, the wattles, around the eyes, on the legs. It looks terrible. Your heart will drop the first time you see it, but dry pox in otherwise healthy birds with good nutrition usually runs its course in 2 to 4 weeks and causes minimal long-term damage. The wet form is different. Wet pox causes lesions inside the mouth and throat, yellow cheesy-looking plaques that build up and can block the airway. A bird with wet pox may struggle to breathe, struggle to eat, lose weight rapidly. This form has a much higher mortality rate, especially in young birds or birds already dealing with other health challenges. Fowl pox is spread by mosquitoes and through direct contact with infected birds or contaminated surfaces. There is a vaccine, and in areas with heavy mosquito pressure, it's worth serious consideration. What you watch for: crusty, dark scabs appearing on combs and wattles. Check inside the mouths of any birds showing respiratory distress. If you see yellow plaques, that bird needs supportive care immediately and isolation from the rest of the flock. Okay, let's bring this together, because I want to give you something you can actually use. Every single disease we talked about today comes back to three things. First, know your bird's normal. Spend 5 minutes in your coop every morning before you do anything else. Watch them move. Listen to them breathe. Notice who's eating, who's first to the feeder, who's hanging back. You cannot spot abnormal until you know normal. This 5-minute habit has saved more flocks than any medicine ever has. Second, isolate fast, identify later. The moment a bird looks wrong, now puffed, separate, lethargic, pull her out. You don't need a diagnosis to justify isolation. A sick bird in with the flock is a disease vector. Get her out, keep her warm, get fluids into her, and then figure out what's going on. Third, build your first aid kit before you need it. Cord for cocci, electrolytes and vitamins, Tylosin or another broad-spectrum antibiotic for respiratory infections, Vetericin or similar wound spray, a thermometer, a clean, warm isolation space. Even a dog crate in a spare room works perfectly. Have these things before you see your first sick bird, not after. You came into backyard chicken keeping because you wanted fresh eggs, or more connection to your food, or just the joy of watching those ridiculous animals wander around your yard. And that joy is real. It's one of the most rewarding things a person can add to their life. But the keepers who get to enjoy it long term, the ones whose flocks thrive for years, they're not lucky. They're prepared. They learned to see the early signs. They built the habits. They stopped waiting for things to get bad before they acted. That's what separates a good year from a heartbreaking one. If this helps you, if there's something in here that you didn't know before you press play, share this with one person who's also starting out with chickens. They need this information before their first sick bird, not after. And if you want the complete beginner's flock health checklist with exactly what to watch for every week in that first critical year, it's linked in the description. It's free. Go grab it. Now go check on your birds.